And tell me your name again?
Milena.
Milena, and I love your shirt.
Oh, thank you.
That's perfect.
You like this record?
Oh, he's my favorite. He's my favorite, and that might be top 5 of my favorite albums ever. Yeah.
It's my top one by him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, I will ask about him later, probably. Okay. So, Say Smith on Radio Szczecin. Hello.
Hello.
How are you? How is Poland treating you? Because I've seen that you got a really beautiful cake with you on top of it.
Oh my gosh. Poland is always very sweet. The people here are always very loving and welcoming. And this might be my maybe 5th time here. And every single time I'm just overwhelmed by everyone's kindness, and it's beautiful. I love coming here.
You once said that you don't like to be bored while you are working on music. So what are you doing currently to keep you entertained?
That is a good question. Being on the road keeps me entertained, obviously. When I'm getting ready for a show, I seem very calm, but in my head, I'm going a million miles an hour, because I'm thinking about what story I want to tell tonight. Even though I might be singing the same songs, the story might be different. You know what I mean? Because the world is different every single day, and the audience is different. And if I catch someone's eye and they are looking at me a certain kind of way, I might sing a little differently. You know what I mean? So I think to keep from being bored, I'm just always focused on the work. Yeah.
I also think that the fact that you don't like being bored, we can hear it in your music, because there is so much going on there. Like, it's funk, it's R&B, it's influenced by soul and rap. Is it true that you wanted to be a rapper?
It's true that I always loved hip hop. I don't know that I wanted to be a rapper, but I was always a B-girl. You know what I mean? From the minute that hip hop sort of began, I was probably 5 years old the first time I heard a rap song, and I was in love with it because I felt like they were speaking to me. So yeah, probably not wanting to be a rapper, but definitely immersed myself into hip hop culture.
Talking about different styles in your music, I really love the versions of many different songs that are cyberized, like you did If Your Girl Only Knew by Aaliyah, or you did Crazy You by Prince. And I was just wondering, because even those 2 songs that I mentioned are from different times, genres, which decade of music inspires you most? Like, are you mostly, like a 70s girl, 80s girl, 90s?
That is a really good question too. My gosh. It depends on what I'm doing. Like, If Your Girl Only Knew, I produced that remake myself, and I just spliced up an old Portishead song, and then I played bass. So I guess you could say that was inspired by the 90s, whereas Crazy You is obviously a 70s remake from Prince's first album, and that was with my friend Zoe, and I think we wanted to stay pretty true to the original sound of that song. I think vocally I did some things a little differently. But I'm inspired by it all. I think I'm inspired by every single decade that I lived through, and even the ones that I haven't, because now I'm doing these tributes to Ella Fitzgerald, and I'm really into these big bands and stuff that was happening in the 40s. I'm inspired by it all. Anything that makes me tap my toes or snap my fingers or move my neck, I'm inspired by it.
And you also mentioned Michael Jackson as one of your inspirations. During one of your concerts, you mentioned that you introduced yourself as Michael Jackson?
Yeah. Oh, yes. When I was little, when people would ask me what my name was, I told them my name was Michael Jackson, and I said it with a straight face. I thought I was Michael Jackson until I was about 4 years old. And my mother finally said, you got to stop doing that. You're not Michael Jackson. You're not even a boy, And I was kind of devastated, like, ah! But yeah, that's how much he meant to me, And he meant that much to all of us, but really I completely inserted him into my being. Like, I really wanted to be Michael Jackson. And I think you can hear that in my music, and especially a lot of my vocals are very much influenced by him. Yeah.
We'll definitely have to play something by Michael Jackson on our show now. And what would you recommend and why?
I think I Can't Help It Can't Help It is a really good, from the album of the t-shirt that you're wearing right now from Off the Wall. It's a really beautiful song. It really demonstrates his vulnerability vocally, how he wasn't afraid to sort of be vulnerable, and you can hear feeling in his voice, but he was still a master at pocket and a master at rhythm, and his pitch was dead on all the time. And, you know, it's just something that you didn't hear that much in pop music, all of those things being mastered at the level that he mastered them, you know. So I think Can't Help It is a good thing to play.
Okay. So we will definitely do it. Anyway, you worked with so many people like Whitney Houston, Brandy, Usher, but I really love what you did with Meshell Ndegeocello.
Oh,
I think that your voices just sound beautiful together.
Thank you.
And how was it for you to be a part of this album?
Wow, thank you so much, first of all. Being a part of that album was amazing. Touring with her was amazing. Every show was like a masterclass. And it's funny that you mention it, because just last week I was listening. Someone sent me some old recordings of our live show with Meshell Ndegeocello. So we're talking like 2003 maybe. And those recordings, I don't think we knew we were even being recorded, you know, but they sound pristine. And that's because she is so meticulous at choosing who she wants to be in the band and then just letting them do their thing, you know, like she would give you a palette and then say, okay, just paint. I want it to feel like clouds. You know what I mean? And that's how we made music in that band, and it was a lot of fun. So making that album with her was kind of the same way. Like she had songs written and then sketches of songs, and then she'd say, Sai, I want you to write a part for this. You know, just write how it feels to, I'm trying to think of something she might have said. Make it feel like, it was always something really abstract, you know, like make it feel like orange. You know what I mean? And then I would go, oh, okay, all right. I know exactly what you mean, you know, and I would try to write something and sing something that felt like the color orange, you know? She might not have said that exactly, but it was always something, you know, like that. Yeah, that made you think completely differently.
And it worked out fine.
I think so. Yeah, she brought out the best in me, I think, you know, because she really allowed me to sort of paint in color and shade in my own way, you know. The first time she called me to even tour with her, she had just seen me play at Joe's Pub with a group that I was in, and she got my number from someone in her band that I went to college with. And she said, she called me and said, hey, this is Meshell. I don't know if you do this, but would you go on tour with me? And I was just like, what? I couldn't even believe it was her, you know? Like, of course I would go on tour. She was like, I don't want to offend you, but, you know, would you sing backups with me? You know, and I'm just like, offend me? What? This is like the best call I've ever gotten in my life, you know? It was an honor to work with her, and I still love her dearly. She's awesome.
This sounds crazy, but another thing which sounds crazy is I read that your song that you had with Rasan Patterson, that you scheduled your session via Twitter.
Yeah, totally. Well, Rasan and I had talked maybe one time at one of my parties. But my husband and I are always throwing these parties, and Rasan came to one of them. And I think one day we had talked and mentioned that we both really like that song. It's an old Billy Ocean tune. So fast forward 3 or 4 months, and I was like, I'm going to go record this song. And I put on Twitter, I'm on the way to the studio to record this song. I wonder if Rasan, you know, at My Name Is Too Long will come record with me, you know. And he wrote me right back and was just like, where you at? I'm coming, you know. And we recorded that song that night, and it happened in a matter of 4 hours. Yeah, because he's a one-take Jake. He's in and out of there, like, yeah.
Talking about your duets, the one that we played probably the most on our show is the song Bad on You with Anthony Hamilton. So how this collaboration happened?
Anthony and I were friends through Macy Gray. Macy at the time had a couple of people that she was working with, Sunshine Anderson and Anthony Hamilton. And so this was before he had, you know, released an album even, I think. And I was just in the studio writing and recording, and I wrote this little song, and it felt kind of bluesy, and I was like, I need a male counterpart, but who do I know who can do that kind of thing? And I thought of him, and I was like, that's exactly who I need. And he came in, and he knew exactly what to do. Like, it was, because the song is kind of sexy and funky, and it's a whole bunch of talk, you know, you're just talking smack. I'm just talking smack, you know. And he knew exactly how to get in there and talk smack right back to me. It was great. It was perfect. And that's one of my favorite songs. That song is from my very first EP that I released back in 2001, and I didn't even know what I was doing. I was just like, I'm going to do an EP. You know, I wasn't even thinking about it. It just happened. But yeah, that song is still one of the favorites.
It really sounds beautiful, just like you were talking.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that's kind of funny that you say, too, because I think I tend to sing how I talk. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think I already speak in a way that's sort of melodic. Like, you know, everything's da 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 da. You know what I mean? And that song is very much, you know what I mean? It's very much how I talk. So that's cool.
Okay, so we went from music to talking, and I know that you were on a movie with Kelly Rowland, and I also remember you singing in Ally McBeal, one of my favorite series. And have you thought about acting?
You know, it's something that I would like to get back into doing, but to do it, you have to really commit. And I have to commit to staying in LA all the time. It's hard to do it when you're on the road, but one of these days I'm going to sit my butt down and stay still and get back into acting, because it's something I love to do. It's part of my tradition of storytelling. And I love telling stories. So, yeah, I'll probably get back into it, but something is going to have to pull me to LA and make me just stay. Probably my husband. He'll probably say, sit down. And I'll be like, okay. Stop leaving town. Okay. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah.
So how was it working on Ally McBeal?
That was a wonderful experience. I had gotten the call to audition for that before I even knew what the show was. I wasn't really watching TV a lot back then. And they were like, Ally McBeal. And I was like, Happy McMeal? What? Okay. And I showed up to the audition. I got the part. And it was me and two other young ladies, Vitrina King and Renee Goldsberry, who went on to do Hamilton, and she won a Tony. And the three of us all still keep in touch. But we did a lot of episodes of that show, and it was a lot of fun. Jane Krakowski and Vonda Shepard, of course. And Vonda was pretty much the musical voice behind Ally. And so we were sort of the thoughts that Ally had that she wouldn't necessarily say out loud. And it was really cool to be a part of that kind of writing. David Kelly is an amazing writer. Everybody on that show was really amazing. Like, when I look back on that cast, like, wow, that was a crazy cast. It was really cool. It was really cool.
Let's get back to music. What do you plan regarding your new music after the tour?
Well, let's see. After this tour, I'm working on my new album, actually, as we speak. So I'm about maybe 5 or 6 tracks in. I'm producing it myself, so it's a very slow process. But I'm getting back to sitting down and playing the piano and sort of having my Roberta Flack moment, if you will, you know, where if I wanted to, I can just sit and play the songs on the album. That's what I want to achieve. I don't necessarily mean to say I want to sound like the 70s or anything, but, you know, in that I just want to be able to sit and play. And so I'm having my singer-songwriter moment. So I would say probably the beginning of 2018, expect to hear a new project. And the title, do you want to know the title? Yeah. Right now it's called Sometimes a Rose Will Grow in Concrete. So there you have it. You're the first to know, Radio Szczecin.
Thank you. That's an honor.
You're the first to know.
Is it also inspired by the poem by Tupac?
Oh, no. Actually, I didn't even know. He had a poem called Sometimes a Rose Will Grow in Concrete?
It's not exactly, but there was something, the rose that grew from concrete.
It's probably definitely coming from the same place. That whole trope that says when people see me, what they think I should be, or what they thought I might have been, you know, when I was little and coming up, and, you know, all the statistics sort of being against a person like me, and through it all, blooming. And I feel like blooming beautifully, you know, in a world that really tries to hold people like me back. And it's also me embracing my womanhood and my swag as I'm completely grown now. You know what I mean? I'm not 20 anymore. So my thoughts on who I am as a woman are very different, and in a good way. You know, I'm not so much here to try to please as I am here to just be pretty and be sexy and be smart and be kind and be generous. You know what I mean? That's what it's about. Yeah.
Thank you for this exclusive title.
You're welcome, of course.
And I hope that you will come back sometime to Poland to play your solo concert.
I would love that. So let's make that happen.
Okay. We are waiting here for you.
It can be an exclusive. I can do the whole album exclusively for Radio Szczecin.
Okay. Thank you.
Radio Szczecin.